Yes, sir. We'll go to the case.
Go to the case. Start. Sudhir Kumar.
Yeah, my students cannot. What I can do is, I will hand over this system to him. You just discuss with him. I may not be getting involved. You can use this.
Unmute. I am unmute only. Hello?
No. Yes.
Hello, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So my patient, 74-year-old male patient, Mr. Jayarajan, he is residing from Kannur, was initially working in a textile shop at Mumbai.
Be very brief.
He was presented with a complaint of breathlessness since 12 years, which got aggravated since 5 months, and one episode of syncope on exertion 12 years back, and bilateral lower limb swelling since 5 months. History: present illness. Patient was normal. He was normal 12 years back. Then he developed breathlessness on exertion. Initially, he felt breathlessness while climbing 2 flights of staircase and walking for more than a kilometer on level ground. So he noticed that, and NYHA 2 symptoms was there for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, he developed an episode of paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, and 2 to 3 days later, he developed an episode of orthopnea, followed by which he was admitted in a tertiary care hospital, and he was evaluated by a cardiologist there. And during the evaluation, the patient also gave a history of weight loss for 2 months, and he was diagnosed to have a valvular disease there. And during the evaluation, he was also treated with IV antibiotics for 6 weeks. And post-treatment, after 6 weeks, he underwent valve replacement at that hospital. And during that initial 2 weeks time, when he had a dyspnea on exertion class 2, he also gives a history of one episode of exertion syncope, which was a sudden onset, and he immediately recovered within few seconds. The consciousness was recovered within few seconds. He took oral anticoagulation for 6 months after the surgery, and after 6 months, it was changed to an aspirin, and he remained in asymptomatic NYHA class 1 after that. And he was in regular follow-up for 1 year, but he lost the follow-up after 1 year, but he remained to be in NYHA class 1. In March 2020, that is after 12 years, in March, he developed a dyspnea on exertion NYHA class 2 for a period of 1 week. And he also noticed bilateral lower limb swelling that time. And after 1 week, he had a sudden onset of breathlessness, which was followed by a stressful event at home. He had a quarrel with his wife, and after that, he had a sudden onset of breathlessness. And he was immediately rushed to a tertiary care hospital, where he was put on an invasive ventilation for 3 days. And he was stabilized and evaluated by cardiologist, and this time he was advised to undergo double valve replacement. He was discharged in NYHA class 3 heart failure symptoms, but he had recurrent admissions with heart failure around 3 times in the next 2-month period. The third time he got admitted under our hospital, he was stable.
Okay, let us stop it there and you discuss. Sir, let us stop it there.
Okay, sir. So he's a 74-year-old male patient who initially gives a history of dyspnea on exertion class 2, NYHA class 2, with the symptoms of PND and orthopnea, which is suggestive of a left heart disease with features of pulmonary venous hypertension. He was admitted in a tertiary hospital and diagnosed to have a valvular heart disease. And during that time, during the
because
diagnosed to have
other teachers are not intervening, what is the peculiarity of that? Is it a usual thing or unusual?
It was an unusual presentation because he had symptoms for 1 week, and suddenly it deteriorated in 1 week period.
What about my colleague teachers?
We are hearing.
Yeah. You take it now.
Okay. No, while can I make a comment in the presentation?
Yeah.
In a patient like this who is 74 years old, so telling years, at the age of, he had this problem. At the age of 62, he had problem. He was well before 62, whatever it is. If you give a perspective in the age, it will be much easier for anybody to understand the chronology of the condition. This is a general suggestion. That is how it should be done. Instead of saying, such and such a date, it's difficult to calculate when it happened and what is the time interval, etc. It is better to relate it to the patient's age. Just a comment.
I think Dr. Vijay
That's right,
ask
because
you a
at that
question here.
age,
Yes.
apparently we can narrow down the diagnosis to very, very few conditions, because he already had undergone surgery, which means that it was already an established valvular heart disease.
Now, at what age was the surgery done? First surgery?
Surgery was done at 62 year.
When he was 62, and prior to that, he was symptomatic for
1 week.
1 week only.
Yes, sir.
So, an acute condition. See, now we have got the perspective. Okay, fine. And when was the syncope?
Syncope was during that 1 week period when he had a dyspnea on exertion class 2. During that time, he had one episode of exertion syncope.
But there is a history of antibiotics for 6 weeks. That should
Yes,
be
sir.
kept in mind. Yeah.
That time. Very important.
Yeah, very important. Yes.
So, it's an acute condition, acute valvular condition, which has happened because of that. Then antibiotics was given.
Yeah.
So, now the diagnosis becomes fairly clear.
So what I want to discuss was
My take on
what are the situations where acute decompensation occurs? Why the patient develop acute? Because we have the data.
One is infection, that is infective endocarditis, or an arrhythmic episode has occurred.
Yes.
Or at the age of the 62 years, we have to rule out coronary artery disease, whether he developed coronary artery disease that time.
Yeah.
Or he developed secondary to coronary artery disease, any secondary valvular pathologies like mitral regurgitation, secondary to acute coronary syndrome. Or he is an elderly patient, whether he developed any sudden onset of rupture sinus of valsalva, but he never had angina. But again, dyspnea was the symptom.
Vijay, I'll stop you here. Rupture sinus of valsalva, do you think does it occur in a person who is 60 years old? What's the classical presentation? When do they present? RSO, when will you think?
Usually, when they will have a sudden onset of chest pain, followed by which then
What age?
Pain, they can present rapid development of heart failure also.
Around third to fourth decade.
Young or middle age male.
Yes,
60
sir.
years is probably a too late presentation for a rupture sinus of valsalva. Okay.
Okay, sir.
That will be thinking more and all. And this patient had a history of almost 12 years.
No. I know they
7 days.
basically
1 week.
1 week.
Is it 1 week or 12 years? Because I think
7
the
days,
first slide
7
you
days.
showed
12
us
years back.
12 years back, 7 days.
12 years and then increasing for 5 months, you told. That was the first slide Vision was present.
Now that was
Yeah. 12 years aggravated since 5 months you have written. So this goes more in favor of a mitral valve disease or a aortic valve disease with this type of history.
no, sir. There is a problem. Is that first slide complaints of breathlessness since 12 years?
Yeah.
Evaluate 12 years back,
5 months.
underwent surgery, asymptomatic till 6 months back or 5 months back. That is the sequence.
There are two things which you must think of. One is the infective pathology, which must have worsened this condition. Or second thing, something has happened with the prosthetic valve. There may be some stuck valve or some thrombus, panus, whatever it is, that there is a valvular dysfunction, prosthetic valve dysfunction that should be thought over second admission, 74. And rightly you said the assessed coronary artery disease or sequelae of coronary artery disease or acute arrhythmia like atrial fibrillation or anything can tilt the balance. These are the few of the things should be thought over in this particular case. When he had acute decompensation over a chronic valvular replacement. This time he has been advised double valve replacement. So something must have progressed, the other valve must have progressed and given way, or previously changed valve must have given trouble. One of those things should be thought over.
My approach would be two components. One is the 12-year back, developing exertional dyspnea, exertional syncope. a 60-year-old man. One of the things which strikes me in a valvular heart disease is aortic stenosis severe. Why did you develop acute decompensation? First thing, I suspect whether the patient developed atrial fibrillation, which can produce an acute decompensation. Second is whether there was an associated coronary event. Third is infection, especially infected endocarditis. This is the way I look at. When you get that part, I do. And second, so at that part, he was treated as endocarditis, valve replacement done, good result. Was it a bioprocesses or a mechanical processes? He was advised anticoagulation only for 6 months. So it's a bioprocesses. Then he remained asymptomatic. Now the question is, why he developed recent acute decompensation? Is it related to the valve disease or a de novo disease? De novo disease at the age of 60, most likely acute coronary syndrome or ischemic heart disease. If it is related to the valve disease, probably a patient with previous endocarditis, recurrence of endocarditis. And as age advances, fever may not be a very important symptom. As age advances, fever may not be there. So we have to ask for other constitutional symptoms like loss of appetite, loss of weight, extreme fatigue, all those things. Now that he has developed 2 valvular lesions, we have to think that the infection has affected the other valve also. Because single valve, it could be infected endocarditis of that valve or degeneration. Degeneration will not produce an acute decompensation because it is a, is it audible?
Yes,
Because it is a bioprocesses, acute decompensation is uncommon. So you have to think of a problem occurring in that valve or a problem occurring in the other valve. So the present problem may not be related to valve degeneration or valve related dysfunction. It is likely to be an infection of that valve, or as discussed earlier, it could be acute coronary syndrome or any other diseases like myocarditis. But this time you must diagnose to have 2 valvular involvement. That is the way I approach or discuss this case.
Can I ask the candidate one question? Is there any clue for the infection? I can't hear, from the history presented, there is no clue about infection.
Yes, sir.
And there is no clue towards coronary artery disease also.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is purely a valvular problem,
Yeah.
which has caused. And you said within 1 week he developed severe edema, bilateral limb swelling.
Yeah.
You can think of a rare possibility of sometimes some venous thrombosis, etc., which has caused that. That is, may not be there. Here, the old valve has degenerated, and that must be the problem, probably mitral valve, and that can give an acute decompensation. And the aortic valve problem would have been progressive over the years, and including development of aortic stenosis or maybe mild aortic regurgitation, but appears to be related to the first valve which was operated. That's what I would think, when the history unfolds, we will see. That is the usual thing we see.
So the peculiarity is stable acute decompensation with multiple admission for acute pulmonary edema or AV failure. So there should be some acute event occurring. We have to discuss that also. Other faculty is not contributing.
Now somebody is using 2 mics. That is the reason why it is echoing.
Somebody is using
2 mics.
Oh, 2 mics. Okay, not me. Oh.
Maybe Sudhir Kumar is using 1 mic.
Okay. So I will take away the mic. You proceed. We can learn from you people. Okay.
Both of you can use the same mic, but mute one of the 2.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So this time he was admitted in our hospital. He was stabilized, evaluated, including transesophageal echocardiogram was done. And he was started on IV antibiotics. He took IV antibiotics for 6 weeks and he was advised surgery. Now, today patient came for follow-up.
So there is a clue for infection.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 6 weeks of antibiotics. So that gives the answer, is it not?
Yes, sir.
He said there's no clue for it was infection. There's a
What about-
definite clue for.
What about blood
Not-
cultures? Blood cultures?
Because I know of a lot of instances where people have used antibiotics without any proper evidence also.
Yeah,
So-
sure.
But they have
No,
given-
but it is done in KIMS, no. So
Not in KIMS. In
This
Lisi
patient-
Hospital, Ernakulam.
oh, Lisi Hospital Ernakulam. Okay, they are very scientific. So
So
I don't
6
think,
weeks,
yeah.
Any blood cultures grown?
No,
blood
sir.
culture.
Blood
No.
culture was negative. No growth, sir.
Okay.
On follow-up, patient was
What is the
better.
basis for diagnosis of endocarditis?
Transesophageal echo was done, sir.
Now show us,
Maybe-
what did you show?
What did they find?
Maybe they would a vegetation would have been seen, sir. A mobile oscillating mobile mass.
Are you going
attached.
to? Are you going to show us the images?
Yes, sir. There are echo pictures are there, sir.
Show us.
Oh.
What was the valve changed in 1962? 60 at the age of 62?
They would have told that, no. He has
So that-
concealed that.
Yes, sir. That, but he is not very particular about that. He underwent,
You underwent?
Yes.
but he didn't bring any discharge summary from that.
But you must have found out, no?
Yeah. You know the diagnosis.
Okay.
No, sir. I didn't know which valve he underwent because
Okay.
I saw the patient today morning.
You didn't
Ah,
see.
okay.
You couldn't
From
make
this
out which
story-
valve.
From this story, most probably a bioprosthetic valve or a stentless valve.
No, sir. It's a bioprosthetic valve because the patient was given oral anticoagulation for 6 months,
Oh,
and
then
after
aspirin.
that, patient was only on aspirin. That's what patient told.
Even stentless valves also, they get used initially anticoagulants and switch over to aspirin. Some people stop it after 6 months, some people continue it.
Probably 12 years back, most likely it would have been bioprosthesis.
I have
Yeah,
possibly
agree.
Bioprosthetic valve.
No,
stemless, unlikely.
Yeah. My friend asked me one question. If the patient is on bioprosthesis, by examination, can you say that is mitral or aortic like that?
You can make out. One
You
can-
can't make out.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't make out. Yes.
But if you say stemless valve, somebody says, then it is aortic.
No,
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, mitral also.
Then it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
likely aortic. 12 years back, stemless valve, it is aortic.
Yeah, if it is a stentless, it is only aortic.
See,
Yes.
The question,
what-
It is SPV valve or Toronto valve or medtronic.
whatever may be the valve, bioprosthetic valve, in aortic position you can make out because there will be always some amount of ejection murmur there because the valve cannot be truly made for him. There will be some amount of gradient will always be there. And
No, he has not come to the findings.
You say, well, you can't make out, but one can make out aortic valve. Definitely
Yes.
that side. Definitely you can make out.
Certainly.
and also suprascapular region on the right side, you can hear this mid-systolic murmur if it is aortic valve replacement.
Definitely.
But at the age of 65, they can have some degree of atherosclerosis, and many times we may hear short murmurs there.
Those exceptions are there, but
That's
one
there
can
are
easily
not-
make out. One
not
can easily make
uncommon.
out.
Now
Okay.
there are other opening click and closing click if it is a mechanical prosthetic valve.
Yeah, that is. He said
No,
Now
about
let him
He's
come to
talking
the
about
findings.
bioprocesses.
Has he given the findings?
No. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, sir. Yes.
With the findings,
So-
it will be clear.
So now the
Jai
on
Kumar,
follow-up,
let
the
him
patient
come
was
to-
better. His appetite has improved. He had weight gain, and now he is in NYHA class 2.
What is the reason for improvement?
Improvement? His infected endocarditis now
Yes.
treated. That's
Yes.
why
So it's-
he has
That
shown
is,
the
I think, a
improvement.
definite evidence. So,
Yes, sir. And
Yes,
there is
sir.
no history
getting
of
rid of
fever.
the infection. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And he also gives history of.
Findings. Go to the findings.
Yes. So summary is this.
Go ahead. Continue.
General physical examination, height 160 centimeter, weight is 65 kilogram, BMI is 25 kg per meter square. Pulse is 88 beats per minute, which was regular, high volume and collapsing in character. No radio, no radiofemoral delay. The condition of the vessel wall was thickened, and all the peripheral pulses was well felt, where the peripheral pulses were bounding. Blood pressure, right upper limb 160/60 mm mercury in supine position, and left upper limb it is 156/16 mm of mercury, and right lower limb systolic was 240. And there is wide pulse pressure also. And temperature, he was afebrile, normal respiratory rate, and normal saturation. Examination, pallor was present, grade 2 clubbing, no cyanosis, and no pedal edema. And peripheral signs of aortic regurgitation such as pistol shot sound and Durose's murmur was present. Cardiovascular system, JVP was not raised. On supine position, normal A wave, V wave, and X and Y descents was seen. Trachea was central. A midline sternotomy scar was seen, and the chest was symmetric. No dilated veins, sinuses. A suprasternal and supraclavicular pulsations are seen, and no other visible pulsations. Apex is in the 7th left intercostal space, 2 cm lateral to the midclavicular line, which is shifted outwards and downwards. It was hyperdynamic, and a systolic thrill at the apex is felt. No other palpable events, no parasternal heave, and no palpable S2. In epigastrium, it is aortic pulsations are felt. S1 is soft, S2 normal split with phasic respiration. Loud P2 is heard, and A2 is soft. No S3, no S4, no opening snap, no click. A harsh ansystolic murmur of grade 5/6, which is of cooing quality, is heard at the apex, which is conducted all over the precordium, and it is also conducted to the backside, including the infrascapular, interscapular areas also. And another high-pitched decrescendo, long early diastolic murmur, which is heard at the left third intercostal space, which is best heard with the diaphragm of the stethoscope on sitting and leaning forward at the end of expiration. And another low-pitched mid-systolic murmur of grade 2/6, which is of crescendo decrescendo, is heard in the right second intercostal space, and which is conducted just below the right clavicle. It is not conducted to the carotids. No other murmurs. Respiratory system, normal vesicular breath sound, no added sounds. Per abdomen, soft, non-tender, no hepatomegaly, and no splenomegaly. And there was no any focal neurological deficits. And no skin lesions also. So the diagnosis.
No, before that, why don't you summarize and discuss the case?
A 74-year-old male patient with a history of dyspnea on exertion, NYHA class 2, and an exertional syncope, at the which was started at the age of 62 years of age, with features suggestive of left heart disease, and with the features of pulmonary venous hypertension, and he was diagnosed to have a valvular heart disease. Initially, the valve which would have been involved is, I would like to put as aortic stenosis because of his age. And in aortic stenosis, he would have developed an infective endocarditis. So they treated infective endocarditis initially, and he underwent valve replacement following which, and he remained in NYHA class after that. And 12 years later, he had a sudden worsening of the symptoms. One possibility, the aortic stenosis, which was corrected with a bioprosthetic valve, a degeneration would have been happened, or and another valve, for example, mitral valve would have been involved with the possibility of infective endocarditis again. Or another possibility is a rheumatic heart disease involvement, which has involved both mitral and aortic valve. And initially, the aortic valve has involved severely, whereas mitral valve was not involved initially. And there was progression of that mitral valve disease in the second time. Another possibility is he would have had a coronary artery disease where there was no angina. The dyspneion exertion was there, which had severe. He would have developed a LV systolic dysfunction that has worsened his symptoms in a period of 1 week. That's why he went to pulmonary edema. But on admission, he was advised to undergo double valve replacement. So that shows he has involvement of two valves, and a precipitating factor was there. Either it can be infected endocarditis, or it can be an arrhythmic episode, or an underlying LV systolic dysfunction as percent.
I fully agree with your analysis, but I don't accept that rheumatic heart disease.
Yeah, why that
In
was brought
rheumatic
in?
heart disease, it is always the mitral valve precedes aortic valve disease, number one. Number two, you never see rheumatic aortic stenosis alone. Either it is associated with mitral valve disease or aortic regurgitation first. Critical rheumatic aortic stenosis seldom seen at 60 years age in a developing country like ours. Always the mitral precedes aortic valve. You go ahead and see all your records, it is always mitral first. After many years, they may develop aortic valve, or aortic valve may be degenerative at a later date. First, it may be rheumatic mitral valve disease, mitral valve replacement. At a later date, they may develop degenerative aortic valve disease. So more likely, the rheumatic etiology is not acceptable, particularly when he has undergone the first surgery at the age of 62, which doesn't fit into the history as well as into the norms of the disease.
At the same time,
Third.
Satyamurthy, one possibility that he might have had mild rheumatic heart disease for many, many years. So the reason for the present problem is not rheumatic reactivation or anything, but we cannot rule out the possibility of when both the valves are involved, rheumatic mild disease in the past. So if you go into full history, what was his job and what was he able to do, etc., you may get some clue. So finally, we'll know, because infective endocarditis is occurring usually on an abnormal valve, and again it may be infective endocarditis. So there can be degenerative etiology at the same time.
Both, yeah.
In our country, I think it should be in the background. Mild rheumatic heart disease in adulthood, and then gradually deteriorated.
But it cannot, aortic won't precede mitral.
No.
To stretch the discussion, I can put it like this. Or if I am the candidate, I may try to defend like that. Sir, he has a mild rheumatic heart disease. Mitral valve disease was there. Aortic valve disease was mild. But he developed endocarditis on the aortic valve.
Yes,
He developed acute aortic regurgitation for which he underwent the surgery.
Yes.
Now what has happened is both the lesions have progressed.
Yes.
Even the prosthetic valve bioprocesses, the rheumatic process can extend. Or a complication has occurred. If I am a candidate 20 years after my DM, teaching for 20 years, I may discuss like this.
Certainly, yeah, that is very quite likely. It is quite possible.
It can be degenerative valve now at 74, both aortic bioprosthetic valve degeneration plus mitral valve, what is that called, papillary muscle dysfunction, caudal rupture. So both degeneration also possible.
Yeah, possible. But
a couple of things are also possible beyond the discussion. One is that if you had an infective endocarditis and had a regurgitation, he may have had crystallizations on the mitral valve, which may have progressed to severe mitral regurgitation or a fenestration of the mitral valve, where there was a vegetation that may be requiring the surgery. Another possibility will be because of his age, apart from the aortic valve disease, he may have had a mitral annular calcification, age-related degenerative mitral annular calcification, which has resulted in a significant mitral regurgitation. Because he requires aortic valve replacement again now, so they would like to replace the mitral valve as well.
One more possibility which I'd like to think probably was mitral valve disease mild at that time. when the first surgery was done. So they have replaced only the aortic valve, and he might have had a rheumatic heart disease, because in our country we do see that most of the valvular heart diseases, almost 90% of our cases, what we say are rheumatic origin. Okay, and this might have progressed because of the infective endocarditis. The mitral valve lesion might have progressed, and probably is requiring a DVR now and all. So that possibility, I think, should be there at the back of our mind, and that way.
Yeah.
Where is the patient now? Patient is in Cochin Hospital.
He came for review today.
He came morning and
He
went
came
up.
here.
Now, you have to discuss the findings.
Yes. Things are he has
Conclusions. Your conclusions.
Like the
he
patient
has
has severe AR and severe MR now. They're going by the clinical findings. Is it?
yes sir. He has features of severe AR
Severe
and
MR.
severe MR.
Yeah. So those are the features which are there.
Yeah.
And all. And obviously, because it's a bioprosthetic valve, we're not hearing any prosthetic valve clicks and all. Okay. And probably the stuck valve is also ruled out because of being a bioprosthetic valve. Okay, it's more of a degeneration rather than a stuck valve and in the bioprosthesis position.
The musical murmur suggests that there are some loose structures like vegetations.
Okay, sir.
Now, why do you think it is severe MR? I'm telling it is severe AR with mild MR.
Like
Severe
it has
MR
to consist
because,
of 5/6
Now, I am asked the student.
one is symptoms, then grade 5/6 harsh.
Now, symptoms, the problem is, I'm telling this patient has aortic valve regurgitation, and we have told that there is an acute event, and we think it is an infective endocarditis occurring on the aortic valve. The patient presents an acute AR, heart failure, severe AR, and you diagnose MR based on that murmur. Why do you say that the MR is severe? What is the evidence?
He has also mentioned MR murmur as cooing as well as harsh.
Yeah.
So both are not possible. Harsh murmur is of mixed frequency or lower frequency. At the same time, cooing murmur is high pitched.
Here it's a cooing quality, sir.
Cooing, pansystolic
Musical
murmur,
murmur,
cooing murmur. So
Yes, sir.
as Krishna Raju said, there is some extra structure there which is producing that musical quality. So that is
or caudal rupture.
caudal rupture. Then it is wobbling like
Musical
that
quality.
musical thing. It's only in very few conditions, especially only in MR. Usually acute MR, caudal
Or it
rupture,
can also be due to perforation of the leaflets.
mitral valve prolapse, or a perforation of the leaflet.
Perforation of the leaflets.
Patients, common.
He has. I think we can go ahead. He has described as severe aortic regurgitation and severe mitral regurgitation. Because double valve replacement, for a mild MR, nobody will say that the valve has to be replaced. So I think his line of thinking is fine.
Yeah. Okay. All examiners will not agree with that because you have got the clue that he requires double valve replacement. If that clue was not there, if the clue was not there, how will you say this MR? How will you grade the severity of MR in presence of severe AR?
Dr. Sudhay Kumar,
Yeah.
I have one important comment to make on this. Just because somebody has suggested a particular surgery should not make us think that this is the disease the patient had.
Yeah.
Because you are already biased.
Yeah, that is true. But that's in the history.
In practice, and also for the student when learning, they should not be biased because somebody said something.
Same thing I said.
One point which I have to tell, how frequently do you get a murmur of grade 5/6 in mild MR?
Yeah, it is unlikely.
Is it possible in a mild MR?
And it is going to the back. So it is either anterior leaflet, it is something like a prolapse or a rupture of chordae or something of that nature.
Of course, you can have severe MR without murmur also. Severe MR can be silent.
Severe MR
can be silent also. But is it possible to get a 5/6? Is the reverse possible to get a great murmur 5/6 murmur in a mild MR?
No, I don't think
MR can exist without murmur. I agree.
But one thing with MR, the grading of the murmur doesn't always tally with the severity.
Exactly.
Agreed.
That's the reason, sir, I
They
told. Severe
need
one
not
can
always,
have no
but
murmurs. You can have
in
silent,
general,
you can have
in
silent
general,
severe MR. Okay, grading does not correlate with the intensity. But I'm
Yeah.
asking you the other question, sir, other way around. Is it possible to have a murmur of 5/6 in mild MR, sir? My question is
No.
framed in a reverse way, in fact.
I agree with you. The grade 5/6 murmur usually.
To answer Dr. Nitin Kabra's question,
Yes, sir.
generally no, but occasionally when people have a mitral valve prolapse with a honk, when they have a mitral valve prolapse without severe mitral regurgitation, but if some of them do have a honk, systolic honk, the systolic honk may be audible even without stethoscope, or you may feel a thrill. But the mitral regurgitation itself may not be very severe.
Agreed, sir. Dr. Krishnamurthy, sir, fully, I completely agree with you.
That is one situation where I can talk about it. Second thing is, mitral regurgitation having a thrill itself is uncommon, except in certain conditions like flail mitral leaflet, mitral valve prolapse with a honk, mitral annular calcification. So these are the few conditions where somebody may have a mitral regurgitation with a thrill.
Agreed, sir.
Did he mention the pulmonary hypertension and all that? I was not listening at that. Is he pulmonary hypertensive?
He told
Yes,
us
sir.
is
Yes,
loud,
loud
loud
P2
P2,
sir.
he told.
Loud P2 is just severe. Is it severe pulmonary hypertension?
No,
What
sir.
is your assessment? No.
It is moderate pulmonary artery hypertension.
Usually in mitral regurgitation, A2, P2 can be well split.
I didn't get any so parasternal. He was not there.
Parasternal, that is end systolic parasternal lift may be there because of the left atrium. That is very unusual finding.
But there is
Exactly.
another problem. There is
Any
another
S3?
problem in post-operative patients. So once
Yes.
a mid-sternotomy is done,
Yes. Additions.
because of the adhesions and the displacement of the heart, you may not get a parasternal heave.
Yes.
So basically, in this case, the most striking thing which we observed is the quality of the murmur. There is a loud, the honky, or the going down, very, very peculiar quality, which suggests more likely the nature of the valve, as discussed, either perforation or a prolapse or something like that. So we were concerned about that. And because of that, we thought that this time the vegetation has affected the mitral valve. And aortic regurgitation also could be progression of the aortic valve disease, degeneration, and or endocarditis. But the deterioration of the symptom we thought was due to the mitral valve involvement. Because the patient present with acute pulmonary edema, the aortic regurgitation is suggestive of a chronic severe AR. Because cardiomegaly, wide pulse pressure, low diastolic pressure, very high systolic pressure. So all the features are suggestive of a chronic severe AR. And there is significant cardiomegaly, which is less common with mitral regurgitation. The symptom is acute severe pulmonary venous congestion, which may indicate the severe pulmonary venous congestion in the absence of an acute AR findings. So in the morning, we are discussing acute AR findings. That is, the diastolic pressure will not go down, the pulse pressure will not be very wide. So in the absence of other clinical findings of acute severe AR, patient developing acute left heart failure symptoms, we thought it could be an acute mitral regurgitation which might have produced the problem. And with the background of infective endocarditis, one of the things we have to consider definitely is recurrence of infective endocarditis. Absence of fever is an odd point, but it is described, or we have seen that as age advances, the magnitude of the fever may not be a very striking symptom, but he had loss of weight and all those things, which improved with treatment, obviously later.
Yes, with improved.
Yeah, so that's the way we were thinking. That is, the present problem is likely to be due to acute mitral regurgitation rather than an acute AR. Or we have to think in terms of associate coronary, but we have two valvular lesions, so we'll go with that.
Yeah. Now, can I ask a question? Is any one of the panelists sure which is the first valve which was operated?
Aortic valve. I think it is aortic valve.
Aortic valve.
No, is this just thinking or are you sure?
No, sure, because here
Yes.
there is caudal rupture and systolic honk, so native valve is preserved here. So aortic valve must have been.
That is the point.
62 years.
No, but
Exertional
in some of
angina.
the mitral valve replacement, the native mitral apparatus can be preserved.
But it will not produce because the only posterior mitral leaflet is preserved to preserve the LV function.
No. Leaflet mitral valve, surgeons, it can.
Because if they put
and mitral valve also can have a prosthetic valve only, a Hancock valve or that sort of a valve, porcine valve. It can give all the findings. It can prolapse. It can degenerate. It can calcify.
Because patient has presented with chronic AR, I thought most likely it is aortic valve which must have.
No, I also feel it's most likely aortic valve, but I'm not sure. Only Satyamurthy is sure.
Yes, so our student is happy because he was asking how to identify which valve was operated.
So he also had syncope.
No, that's one episode only. One episode. If it is, that means he had severe aortic stenosis. That is, I don't know. We have not gone into detail of that one syncope. It can be a vasovagal attack also. One episode. What caused it, and was it a fight with the wife, or was it climbing steps, or
no, fighting with wife was later.
Later. Okay. That is the usual thing. So
that is take home message.
For all parents, we should be asking whether it is possible to make out clinically. Is it a paravalvular AR?
That one episode many years back.
Able to make out and all.
I don't think we should give importance for that one syncopal episode.
No, syncopal episode, even if it is one, need to be taken seriously, even according to the guidelines.
No, that is, suppose somebody had 15 years back one syncopal episode, then after that, many years have passed.
We are talking
about... It's a progressive condition. He will have, till the valve is replaced, he will have many syncopal episodes. It's not one alone. First one can be sudden cardiac death, I agree. One episode is enough. But did he have pre-syncopal attacks?
Syncope is a very dramatic symptom. You need to go into the details if it is a true syncope or not. If it is a true syncope,
that's it.
Definitely is a very important symptom.
No, what I'm saying is it may not be true syncope.
But that you are assuming.
True syncope is loss of consciousness because of cerebral blood flow is low, so that the oxygen and the nutrients are not reaching the brain. So if that happens, then it is definitely symptomatic, unless he has an arrhythmia.
So we can go by
whether a fit is possible.
The student has presented.
We are not sure.
We can. He has put it as an exertional syncope 12 years back. We may accept it. But one of my colleagues, Dr. Jayadeva, has put a suggestion that acute valvular deterioration, the structural valve deterioration with acute MR is known, and pericardium may get turned off. What is the pericardium that is covering that something he has put? The valve ring. The valve ring, if the pericardial patch, it can tear off from the ring and that is described. That is what he says.
That is dehiscence. That is the dehiscence of the valve.
Yeah, dehiscence. Anything is possible with the.
It can occur later, even without infection.
Yeah. It can occur later or immediately after surgery as well.
So can we go to the investigation, because it's
I think so. We had
now.
enough of guesswork. I think we should go.
Yeah.
You move along.
Next slide. Electrocardiogram. Electrocardiogram.
ECG is in normal sinus rhythm. Axis is P-wave axis is normal, sir.
Yeah, P-wave.
And QRS axis is biphasic is Xavier 2. It's 60 degree.
Fine.
Yes, agreed.
He is having left ventricle hypertrophy features.
Systolic overload or diastolic overload vision?
Yes, that is the systolic or diastolic.
It is a volume overload. Volume overload left ventricle hypertrophy patterns. Volume overload pattern.
I'm not able to see any prominent Q waves here.
Yeah, no Q wave. T wave is not tall, so it is not a volume overload. It is pressure. We cannot make out.
And the patient has 2 regurgitant lesions.
Yes, sir.
So we expect more of a volume overload, is it not?
Yes, sir. Volume overload.
On the ECG to the candidate, can I ask 1 or 2 fundamental questions? Is it allowed?
Yes,
Yes,
Dr.
time-
Abraham, please. Dr. Abraham, please go on.
Yes. Candidate should answer me fast. Is the P wave duration more or QRS duration more? Which has more duration? Normally.
Normally the QRS duration.
No, wrong. Second question. Second question.
No, it's
Okay.
a question only to the candidate, not to the faculty.
Only to the candidate.
Okay.
See, P wave is usually about 0.12, QRS is 0.1. So this is a very fundamental thing people should know. PR interval is from where to where?
Tablet.
From the onset of P wave
Yes,
to the onset of the QRS.
to the onset of QRS. What is the normal QT?
Normal QT is 4. It is 430 milliseconds.
Agreed. 430 with a heart rate of 60. See, only one question. How many electrodes are put on the body for taking ECG?
3 electrodes.
3 electrodes.
I mean, is it in a 12 lead ECG or?
This is a 12 lead ECG.
How many electrodes are put on
How
the
many
body?
electrodes are there?
4 plus 6.
Is it 12?
Electrodes.
How many? See, ECG technician
9.
should know.
9, 10.
9. No.
10
Both are
electrodes.
six
10 electrodes.
How
10
is the
electrodes.
speed I dive? Can you tell?
Huh?
Taking
10
Dr.
electrodes.
Abraham,
The correct answer is 11 because there are
11.
4 electrodes, 2 limbs, 2 lower limbs, 6 in the chest, and 1 central electrode, which Thomas Lewis described. Without that central electrode, ECG cannot be taken. So it's only 11 electrodes. Then why do you say 12 lead ECG?
Leads are 12.
No, why? Leads are 12. That's it. That's because of the central. So 3 augmented leads, 3 limb leads, and 6 chest leads. Okay, if any examiner asks, I won't be coming. No. If present examiner asks this, they may not answer also. You
definitely.
can answer that.
Definitely, I would have said 10.
In the ECG,
Your question was how many electrodes are placed on the body?
that is
Let's
10.
say 10.
Agreed. You got me. But how many electrodes are used? One central
Then
electrode.
I will say 10.
Yeah,
And
11.
you grade me.
Yeah, 10, 11, 12. All figures one should know. In ECG, when does systole ends?
Systole is from the onset of the QRS to the end of the T wave.
Electromechanical system.
Yeah, electromechanical. Okay, good. Go ahead. I deviated from that, but these are fundamental things. One should know in ECG. So this is pressure overload. Left ventricular hypertrophy. Volume overload must be there. LVH. That's all right. Go to the next one.
Now, just I may contribute.
Yeah.
From the electrocardiogram, it is extremely difficult to say for me.
Yes.
The classical thing in pressure overload is a little widening of the QRS,
Yes,
some
correct.
SCT changes, and the amplitude will not be very much. Volume overload, the amplitude increases much more than pressure overload.
And as said, the Q
Very,
wave
very well
setup here.
taken. Because here the amplitude increase is because of the volume overload.
Volume overload.
At the same time, T is not tall and there's no Q wave.
Yeah.
So both are there.
Combination.
Yes, combination.
Kind
But
of
clinically-
this kind of ECG.
And ST depression,
Yeah.
pressure overload. So
Clinically,
hypertrophy
yes,
must
only
be there.
volume overload. Am I right?
Must be some eccentric hypertrophy and volume overload.
Yeah.
So
This,
that's
this kind of ECG, Dr. Sudai Kumar,
Yes.
this kind of ECG we always used to describe as voltage LVH.
Yeah. Yes.
Voltage
no, but
LVH.
yeah, that is, it can be
You are
borderline.
not-
This is very high voltage.
I know voltage LVH, it is not borderline.
Yeah.
Voltage
1, 2, 3,
criteria
4,
are set
5.
LVH by voltage criteria.
by
Yeah,
voltage.
20.
It could be pressure overload, it could be volume overload. It cannot by it would not be easy to make out on the ECG alone.
Yeah, that's right.
See,
But if there is a STT changes or left atrial overload also, then left atrial overload suggests that it is a pressure overload of the left ventricle. Indirect evidence.
Yeah,
I
correct.
may add like this, if there are STT changes and left atrial overload, it may indicate associated pressure overload or pressure overload, or in a volume overload when they go in for LV failure, when the LV diastolic pressure rises, they develop STT changes as well as left atrial overload.
That's
so there
right.
are limitations in the ECG interpretation without clinical data.
Yeah, that is accurate.
Yes, yes. But
Yeah,
here somehow there is no left atrial overload.
Yeah.
There are,
But that depends on various
What is
factors.
it? Yeah.
Dr. Sudhir Kumar,
Yes.
I want to contribute two things. One is lack of atrial fibrillation at 74 years. Low probability of the rheumatic mitral valve disease, number one. Number two, lack of left atrial overload in the ECG shows MR may be acute MR rather than chronic MR.
But one thing you need to remember, all of us need to remember is ECG and X-ray are not reliable in a patient who has undergone 2 surgeries. Even after one surgery, the ECG may remain just the same as preoperative. And also the X-ray. So they may not change at all. So we cannot take the ECG and X-ray as evidence of some disease or evidence of the severity of the disease. It is not reliable in a post-operative patient.
Shall we go to the X-ray?
Yes.
People used to talk about ventricular activation time. He said that pressure overload, QRS is usually widened. VAT, ventricular activation time, is more in pressure overload. Anyway, just X-ray.
That is because myocardial thickness is more.
Yes, yes, VAT is more. So that is more accurate answer by a candidate. It will be impressive to the examiners.
More than 55 milliseconds.
Yes.
So chest X-ray, it's a situs solitus, levocardia, chest X-ray PA view, a good inspiratory film. It's slightly rotated to the right side, and it's a post-operative clippings can be seen. Adequately exposed film. The bony cages and soft tissues are normal. If you see the left side, left aortic arch.
The same is cardiac size.
Yes, sir. Cardiac size, cardiomegaly is there. 55, around 55. Cardiothoracic ratio is 55%. And left aortic arch, left atrial appendage is not seen. Pulmonary artery dilatation, mean pulmonary artery dilatation is not seen. It's apex. I'm not able to clearly say whether it's an LV or RV type.
It is a rotated.
Aorta is dilated.
No, it is a rotated film. We can't make.
Yeah, quite rotated.
Quite rotated. That is why pulmonary artery also you can't make any.
There is a slight rotation agreed, but aorta is clearly dilated. You can see the descending thoracic aorta and ascending thoracic aorta. They are clearly dilated, suggesting that either he has an aortic valve disease, like particularly regurgitation, or systemic hypertension. And is the trachea also deviated towards the right, as you can see, tracheogram, which means possibly because of the positional change which he has, but it is much more than what I would expect with slight positional, patient's slight difference in the neck position. This tracheal deviation may be because of the post-operative mediastinal fixation.
Yes, likely. It's an LAO view. It's an LAO view.
Comment on the left atrium here in this X-ray. Left atrial enlargement is there or not there?
Yes, sir. It is there. There is a shadow appearance is there. The right side, the left atrium is enlarged.
Now, what we are seeing there as shadow in shadow is actually root of the aorta, and that is a sinus.
What about the spring of the left bronchus?
The left bronchus is elevated. It is elevated, sir.
Yeah, the kernel angle is almost about 90
widened.
degrees.
Yes, sir.
So LA may be enlarged. Instead of telling X-ray PA view, it's better to say LAO view. Just X-ray LAO view.
Because the patient is so much rotated, I think automatically.
Yes. Mild LAO, 15 degrees. And mediastinal fixation, because all the It's a midline, all the switches you can see on to the right,
Yeah, yeah.
not in
So
the
to
midline.
me-
So it's quite rotated. Unless
it
the
looks-
surgeons have done like that. No, they won't.
Postoperative mediastinal fibrosis.
Yes, that is
So as a
possible.
result of that, cardiopulmonary fixation is there.
Yeah, but the
Basically,
mediastinal-
as far as my reading is concerned, there is a mild cardiomegaly. In view of the rotation and problems related to the lung surgery, I can't comment about this. But if I'm asked in a normal X-ray, I will take proper X-ray. I will take this as an RVFX because it is forming an acute angle. If that question comes, aorta is uniformly dilated, and most important, I look for the pulmonary vasculature, which we have not mentioned. The pulmonary vasculature, what do you think? Is there pulmonary venous hypertension? Is there pulmonary arterial hypertension? These are the important things. What do you think?
There are features
Vijay.
of pulmonary
No.
venous hypertension.
There are features of pulmonary venous congestion.
Yes, sir.
What is that? What is that?
Cardiothoracic ratio is not acceptable when it is rotated.
Yeah.
Because when it's rotated, it will become narrow.
Yeah.
If it is real PA view, there will be further enlargement. You can see it will be about 60, I think.
Okay.
Now the left lung is seen at the base. It won't be seen. It may come up to the, you said seventh space or something, is it not? So that is all rotated. Heart is rotated to the right.
Left
anyway, I
pleural
don't think it
thickening.
can-
Krishnamurti sir, whether you agree with that when this type of a apex, does it go in favor of a left ventricular pressure overload and all by any way? This type of
Yeah.
an apex, Dr.
Yeah,
Not
there is an indirect signs which are described.
Yes, sir.
You look at the thickness of the myocardium, radiogenicity of the myocardium, compare it with the rib. So normally in a normal individual, both of them will be identical. If there is a myocardium which is thick like an LBH, the radiogenicity of the left ventricle and the myocardium will be much more than the rib. But that assumes that these are the people without osteoporosis of the rib.
Okay, sir.
So coming back to the pulmonary vasculature, you think there is pulmonary venous congestion.
Yes.
The upper lobe vessels, lower lobe vessels, I am not very much convinced. Even if it is elevated, what is the likely pulmonary venous pressure?
But I would urge
around-
everybody to notice that a patient who has undergone a surgery, chest X-ray is not reliable for reading about the pulmonary arterial or venous hypertension or cardiac enlargement. It is simply not reliable.
Why is the pulmonary venous congestion?
That is also not reliable. It will continue to be like that years after, even 20, 30 years
No.
after surgery.
There is an abnormal vasculature may remain, but if
No,
the
no,
vasculature
sir.
is normal, I think
No.
the vasculature is normal in this case.
No, vasculature normal may remain normal.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
If there was PAH,
It may
radiological
not
changes,
regress. It may not regress.
PVH, radiological changes, radiologically it won't regress.
In this case, this patient has come with acute decompensation, but surprisingly, the pulmonary vasculature to me looks normal. There is no radiological evidence of pulmonary venous hypertension or pulmonary arterial hypertension.
But when was this X-ray done? During the pulmonary edema or when he
No,
is
not
well?
not at all. When he is well.
When he is well, so we can't really correlate.
But
No, there
this
may
X-ray,
be, there may
this
be
X-ray.
minimum grade 1 pulmonary venous
venous
hypertension, cephalic,
But
venous.
the so-called pulmonary venous hypertension we are talking about need not necessarily be current. Those minor changes may have been there from day one onwards, even from his 62 years, etc.
Yes. Yeah, but it's almost
That is
normal.
the point I was trying to make. Left pleural thickening is there. Left costophrenic sinus, you see, compare it with right. There is a thickening of the left pleura that also is a result of his thoracotomy.
No, yeah, sternal, midline insertion only. Yeah. Yeah, slight difference on the left side. It is.
Okay.
Now tell me which valve is replaced.
It is,
Huh?
it's
Sathya,
Ah,
now tell me which valve is replaced. First,
mitral.
See,
Mitral.
that's what, it's not aortic.
You got it.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Vision, comment on the echo.
Yeah, Vijay.
Sir, it's a parasternal long axis view. The LA appears dilated, and the bioprosthetic valve which has replaced is the mitral valve, and LV also appears dilated. There is adequate. It's a normal LV systolic function.
The aortic valve.
Aortic, yes, sir. The ascending aorta, the aorta, sinus of valsalva and sinotubular junction almost looks normal, sir. The aortic valve is aortic valve looks normal, sir.
What about the annulus?
No, it is
Well and not thickened also. But as Dr. Dayasagar Rao asked, how's the annulus here?
Annulus is thickened, sir. Aortic annulus is calcified. Yes, sir.
Like
So not only that, you also look at the leaflet of the prosthetic mitral leaflet, the posterior one. It is collapsing into the.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Vision, what about the RVOT or RVO? You wanted to comment there?
There are loose cardia. You haven't made a mention of that. Loose cardia are there. So the surgeon who has operated left behind the cardia.
Yes, sir.
So cardiopapillary sparing surgery.
Why is it important, Dr. Vision, taking up from Dr. Krishnamraju? Why caudal preservation? How does it help or harm the patient? Is it
no,
advisable?
I don't think there's any impact on that, as long as they don't touch the papillary muscle.
No, there is. It preserves the shape of the left ventricle.
Yeah, if the
thereby
papillary
it
muscle
preserves the ejection fraction.
No, that's loose or without touching at all. But now it is appears to be torn.
Oh, yeah. There is something going. There is something
Surgeon
going
takes them away.
Yeah.
Surgeon disconnects them from the mitral valve.
Then it
but
is loose.
Remains.
Then it does not help. For the mitral apparatus, it is something loose which is lying. Most of the surgeons remove it.
Now, caudal sparing surgery has a better preservation of the ventricular function rather than taking away that. So it is, as Raju sir said, they leave it from the mitral valve, but it is preserved otherwise with the myocardium, with the papillary muscle, without touching or damaging that.
Papillary muscle, agreed. But chordae, loose chordae, how does it help the prosthetic valve?
That contributes to the geometry of the ventricle. How? Because it is not a loose structure. Now you find this papillary muscle is not remaining as a very loose structure, especially the
No, papillary muscle is certainly different.
I'm talking about this chordae.
I don't know.
That also is.
So the chordae anchor the mitral valve apparatus, and we have a role in anchoring even the annulus also.
Yeah.
Okay, and the vertical movement also they have an annulus. And caudal preservation surgery definitely preserves LV function.
Yeah.
In mitral valve surgery and this one.
So parasternal apical four chamber view.
Parasternal apical four chamber.
Next. Yeah. Okay, go to the next.
Especially the PML chordae.
Is any vegetation seen?
There are some masses.
Yeah, there is.
Echodense masses are there. We really don't know.
So that appears to be some nodule, something suggestive of. Yes.
They actually appear like calcified vegetations, old vegetations following the previous treatment.
Yes.
May I ask the definition of a vegetation, echocardiographic definition, Vision? How do you define a vegetation on echocardiography? What is the definition?
An oscillating mobile structure which is attached in the mitral valve. It will be attached on the surface of the LA.
No. The most important point, Vision, here is it is attached to an underlying structure. But a vegetation will have a motion on echocardiography which is independent of the motion of the underlying structure. Suppose it's attached to AML. It will not be moving only in the to and fro direction. It will be moving independently of the AML motion. Okay. That is very important. A vegetation has a motion which is independent of the motion of the underlying cardiac structure. I think that's very important how you make
I have one comment.
Yes, sir.
One comment. So this independent motion of the vegetation is very nicely seen if you use the color velocity imaging. Tissue velocity imaging, color tissue velocity imaging, it shows up very nicely the independent motion of the vegetation. Second question is, how do you know whether it is a new vegetation or a old healed vegetation?
It's a old vegetation, it will be calcified and it will be more hyperechoic.
Hyperechogenic and
calcification
are likely to be very old. Suppose it need not necessarily be always so. If that is so, what investigation will help you to know whether it is a active vegetation or a healed vegetation?
FDG PET scan will help to know whether.
That's right. That's right. FDG PET will tell you that.
Dr. Bijan, can you tell me what is the minimum size of vegetation to be visualized on echocardiography?
It is we can around 0.8 millimeters, sir.
No. You tell me about transthoracic echo and transesophageal echo separately, differently. Are they same or different? It's 2 mm on transesophageal echo and 3 mm on thoracic echo. Okay, remember that point.
Yes, I want to ask him one question. Dr. Bijan?
Yes, sir.
Which vegetations are likely to get embolized? High risk vegetations.
Sir, the right-sided vegetations.
No.
Mitral aortic.
In the mitral and aortic, it is more likely to be the mitral vegetations.
Okay. Why mitral?
Because the pressure, it's a high pressure chamber.
No, aortic is high pressure.
No, aortic.
Not
no. What type of vegetation? That's what I is asking.
It's a mobile. Mobile vegetations are likely to embolize, sir.
Size of the vegetation which is likely to embolize?
10 millimeters or more.
10
Yes.
More than 10 millimeters, sir.
I'll give you quickly tips.
No, they have
number one is
changed that definition recently. Now they say high risk vegetation is 20 millimeters or more, and moderate risk is 10 to 20 millimeters. Less than 20 millimeter size, lower risk.
So higher the size, more risk. Yeah.
That's right.
That
Larger
is one.
the size, higher is the risk. And then fungal vegetations.
Yes, sir.
Fungal vegetations also have a higher risk of embolization.
Is it more like
multiple vegetations also have a higher risk of embolization?
Yeah.
The reason is in mitral valve, in systole, the annulus, mitral annulus have more movement than aortic valve. That is the reason mitral vegetations are more prone for embolization. Second thing,
The extortion of the reflex.
the echogenicity of the vegetation is less than the adjacent structure. That means it's a fresh vegetation. So those are more likely to get embolized much. The higher chance of vegetation compared to the same echogenicity like the adjacent structure, like valve leaflets and all that. You have to compare the echogenicity. Third thing, a growing vegetation means today it is 6 millimeters. After 4 or 5 days or 10 days, when you do the echo, you find growing vegetation. They are likely to get embolized much higher chance of embolization.
No. My question to you is it more likely to embolize early in the course of infective endocarditis or more likely in the later part of treatment of endocarditis?
So it's more likely to be in the early period, sir. Because late period, it will become more calcified.
Organized.
Organized, sir.
Yes. So
Now,
most
fibrin
of the
deposits, the older it is, there is more fibrin that anchors the vegetation. The fresh it is a very friable vegetation.
You can comment on the color flow mapping here.
So it's a parasternal long axis view. The color Doppler in the aortic valve shows severe aortic regurgitation.
How do you assess the severity here? Why do you think it's severe? Can you tell me the criteria? How do you assess it depending on the color flow? What are the signs of echocardiographic signs of severe AR?
Severe AR if the jet velocity is almost more than 65%.
Is it the velocity or something?
Jet velocity?
No, not jet velocity, sir. It's a jet width. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Width, sir.
65% of what?
65% of the LVOT.
LV outflow.
Outflow tract.
LVOT width. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What else? You tell me some other criteria. Tell me all the criteria, whatever you know, 7-8 criteria. Whatever.
The effective, the vena contracta width, if it is more than 7 mm, and
No.
Take out the vena contracta here.
0.6.
more than
Aortic
0.
is 0.6. You are telling about mitral or aortic?
Aortic, sir.
Aortic 0.6. Yeah, 0.6.
Yes, sir.
Vena contracta 0.6 and ERO 0.3.
0.3.
Whereas mitral, I can give you the clue. Mitral is 0.7 and 0.4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And regurgitant volume more than 60 ml, regurgitant fraction more than 50%.
That is same for mitral and aortic. That's another clue. Yeah.
Actually, it is important that you classify them as qualitative, semi-quantitative, and quantitative. Qualitative also, you can give some color flow Doppler parameters. Semi-quantitative or vena contracta and other things. And quantitative is regurgitant volume and regurgitant
Volumes.
fraction.
Yes.
So you have to go systematically that way.
No, structural.
Semi,
I think they can go by structural changes, then the Doppler findings,
yeah.
and then quantitative. See, pressure half beam and all that comes in.
Air regurgitant jet has not been adequately described. Like, for example, it is eccentric. Origin of the air jet is eccentric. The direction is posterior towards the anterior mitral leaflet. That has some significance. Look at that.
So,
Now, they are finer points, which, which are
No,
candidate.
they are important.
Yeah, they are important. Yeah. No, this is now severe or not?
Severe
What is the
aortic.
impression?
This is severe,
What is the-
definitely.
Severe aortic
Severe.
regurgitation.
There's nothing to, because the color flow itself and,
so
candidates
when you
will
are
be,
when you are
Any
asked a
Doppler
question on
criteria?
severity of AR, the way you have to approach is importance. But you look at the anatomy, LV dimension, you have to discuss. Then you have to discuss about the color Doppler, the color jet, what is its width, what is the length, what is the
no,
vena-
is the length. I don't think the length is important.
Then that also is described, sir.
Length,
That
I don't
also-
know.
We can
Sir,
give-
what do you think? That depends on the aortic
Today is
pressure.
telling, Dr. Abraham, sir.
Yeah, it was
Described,
described in the.
yes.
It was described 20 years back in the initial criteria.
Yeah. Now it is not there.
Subsequently, they said that it is not reliable.
Yeah, it can come up to a central jet can come up to the apex.
Yeah, that's right. So
But
subsequently,
depending on
it is given minor importance.
But
Yes, yes.
personally, I feel that if the candidate can put all the things which he will get better marks. For
Yeah,
example,
sure. He's
I will
good,
put
good.
it like this: the width of the color jet, the length of the color jet. He can add that the significance is less now. Then
Yes.
the vena contracta. Then the spectral trace. You have to talk what is happening to the deceleration time. All those things.
That is very important. The deceleration time and
Then you have to talk
pressure.
about the aortic reversal. All those
Yeah.
things you have to tell. Then the
No,
quantitative.
that is one of the simplest thing. Aortic reversal, pan-diastolic aortic
what you
reversal
can
in the
put-
descending aorta.
Yeah.
That means it's severe. Yeah,
Follow diastolic
And,
reversal.
there's no doubt about it.
Especially more specific for that and
especially the epigastric view, the descending thoracic aorta, if you get a pan-diastolic reversal, it is
Yes.
highly suggestive of severe aortic regurgitation. So you have to put all the things. Don't forget.
I have to-
That is each value. Every dimension is important. Okay.
What is the most
meant
important
whether it is a
parameter?
stentless valve or stented valve.
So this is
Stents are there, looks like.
Certainly. Mitral valve.
No,
so many
mitral
years-
valve is always stented.
Yeah.
Yes,
there is no stentless wall in the mitral position.
yes.
Unless some experimental.
No,
Aortic
but,
used to be in India. It used to be done in 90s and all that. Stentless. Well, from
We had done
95
some. We had done some, but they
Oh.
were very, very expensive at that point in time.
Yeah. Which was the valve? SPV valve.
Yeah.
Toronto valve and SPV. Those are the two valves available. Now more are
no,
available.
that is aortic wall, right?
Aortic.
Yeah, that is
Mitral,
aortic.
no.
No,
Mitral is
but here
experimental.
you watch the mitral leaflet there. Is it during systole? What is happening? Just take away that color and then see what is happening.
Start from the very beginning.
Is there prolapse?
There is a severe.
Severe prolapse.
You
See, you can see. You can see the
without
smoke.
Yeah,
There is
without
smoke,
the- Yeah, run it slowly. Yeah.
in LA you can see smoke. What does it mean? Or is it because of the
Spontaneous
It's
echo
not the smoke.
contrast.
It's not the- No, no,
spontaneous
no.
echo contrast?
It is that echoing of the prosthetic. That metallic echoing is coming down.
No,
Otherwise, it
that
is
is
not.
reverberation. Reverberation.
Yeah.
LA
It is
smoke.
not.
Now you will have to decrease the gain and see
Yeah, decrease the gain.
whether
I think
that
gain
auto
is more.
contrast is real or not.
No, his gain is more. That's why.
No. What is the anatomical substrate for your spontaneous echo contrast?
No, when first it was described, somebody came and told the boss, there's a smoke in the LA. Then he asked, did you put some water on the machine?
No, it is basically because of stasis and Rayleigh formation.
Yes,
That
stasis.
is anatomical substrate. That is the reason.
Anatomical substrate for a high LVDP and low flow.
No. To get for a smoke-like picture, you need to have an anatomical substrate, which is what do you call Rayleigh formation, RBCs.
You see that even in dilated cardiomyopathy, ischemic cardiomyopathy.
Oh, very much. Dilated cardiomyopathy is classic.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
the mitral. He didn't describe the mitral. No, I cannot
We
hear
have found that this patient has severe MR, severe AR. There is an
calcification of the aortic annulus. We have found that there is prolapse of the mitral leaflet. Regarding the vegetation in the apical four-chamber view, it is not that convincing. In this view, what about the vegetation? That is the thing which I am interested, because other things are very clear: severe AR, severe MR, good LV function. Now we should concentrate for vegetation because they have diagnosed infective endocarditis with a normal blood culture. So are you convinced about the vegetation?
No, culture negative does not mean that, there was no infection. There are so many causes of culture negative.
My point is, the culture is negative, so your diagnosis of infective endocarditis should be based on other data.
Yes, on echo.
Vegetation is an important thing, but vegetation has limitation because they are previous endocarditis.
Yes.
Okay.
No, that is a treated. Now it is a treated endocarditis.
So which is the most useful investigation to confirm infection in this case? FPPG. This is one situation where it will be giving additional benefit or more confirmatory. Yeah. Fine. Anything else, sir?
There are some very sophisticated tests for antibodies and the metabolic.
So, I want to ask the candidate, what is the Duke's criteria to diagnose infective endocarditis?
Duke's criteria, old one and the modified one.
The modified one is also there.
Modified Duke's criteria, major criteria is a blood culture. We have to take.
No. How do you classify the criteria?
It is pathological and clinical criteria.
No.
Not clinical.
No. Clinical.
I think you have to read up.
It is
Duke's criteria.
definitive diagnosis, probable diagnosis, like that is in three categories.
Yes. And then you've got major criteria, minor criteria.
No, that's in every textbook. We'll spend
Yeah,
time.
you'll have to.
Yeah, you must be thorough with that.
Yeah, and then
the major change of late, including European Society guidelines, and is the inclusion of the FDG PET. FDG PET is the latest inclusion.
FDG?
PET CT.
Oh, PET CT. Okay. That is not a usual possible thing. Costly.
No, sir. We have been doing it regularly for last 8-9 years.
We have it in Hyderabad.
How much does it cost?
We have been doing it, It costs approximately in the trust hospitals and also Thyrocare, they charge 10,000 to 12,000. In the commercial hospital, business-oriented hospitals, 25,000.
25,000, yeah. No, but I just want to emphasize here that the sensitivity of the including transesophageal echo for picking up vegetation in a prosthetic valve is very low. And you are likely to make a lot of mistakes because it is not so easy to differentiate the prosthetic material from the vegetations, both in terms of echogenicity and mobility. especially in the mitral valve.
It's almost 90 minutes.
Yeah.
90 minutes now.
Dear sir, is the candidate supposed to know all these methods of MR evaluation, PISA method,
Yes.
volumetric? They should know.
Not only the candidates, not only the candidates,
Yeah.
even the faculty is expected to know.
No. Now it is all easy. With the present machines, it is all easy. And with the newer machines, it is becoming easier and easier with the machine learning and deep learning. I think it is universal. But
So
the
message to the candidate is you should concentrate on the detailed echocardiographic evaluation of mitral regurgitation, aortic regurgitation, aortic stenosis.
Yes.
You should read up the criteria, Duke's criteria. Clinical case presentation and all those things, it's the same line. Okay, sir?
Another common questions that are asked in the examination are, what are the, epidemiology of the new epidemiology of the infective endocarditis? Because the organisms have changed with the new devices, valves and pacemakers, etc., etc. And the second thing is, what are the new diagnostic modalities like gene expert and FDG PET, etc. Also, you need to know a little bit of that. And then the organisms, rare organisms like Hayasek organisms and gonococcal and salmonella endocarditis. These things also frequently they ask. And then the Duke's criteria, as Dr. Dayasagar Rao was pointing out, is so fundamental that everybody will ask that question.
Yeah.
And then the treatment aspects. And then another common question is, what are the surgical indications in a patient with infective endocarditis?
The role of surgery.
And what is the natural history and also the outcomes of an infective endocarditis?
To know the bacteriology knowledge of a candidate, just one question should be enough. So they should know everything.
Another common question asked is, in which case about anticoagulation, particularly prosthetic valve endocarditis, whether you continue anticoagulants or you will stop it, particularly if there are vegetations. There is a very common debatable question in infective endocarditis, particularly prosthetic valve endocarditis.
There is another new question which is being asked after the NICE guidelines. When do you give the prophylaxis for infective endocarditis?
Yeah.
When do you don't? What are the new indications?
That is changed completely now,
Changed completely. That is the reason why they keep asking.
Yes.
Sir. In fact, 2010, but still it's called as the new guidelines for prevention of endocarditis. It's been 10 years now.
No, 2015 came.
Yeah.
2015 revised
Guidelines had come later.
But one thing I can tell you, it is better not to take any chance in our country.
So,
True.
finally, I will put it like this. The recent literature has come. When will you operate in a patient with endocarditis? Indications. Now, an early operation has been shown to reduce the incidence of embolic stroke. So it is recommended that if you have isolated the organism, the sensitivity has been shown, you can operate. Now, there is one data, strong data, that is you have started treating. Whether you operate at first week versus after 3 weeks, they have found that the culture which has been taken from the operated material, the positivity of all this, there is the organism being there. It is same whether you operate within 1 week versus after 4 weeks. That is, the persistence of the bacteria in the vegetation is not determined or not reduced by a prolonged treatment. So you need not wait for a longer time or to complete the antibiotic treatment before taking the surgery. So the indication or the timing of the surgery is based on the indication. If there is a clear indication, you have to operate. But if there are large mitral valve vegetations, there is an indication for an early surgery and you need not wait for a longer time. There should be an antibiotic proved. There is an organism which has been grown, sensitive has been shown, and with the short treatment itself, we have shown clinical improvement like this, then you need not wait for a longer time. There is a data which has come.
Two definitive indications will be hemodynamics, hemodynamic worsening, two embolism, already an embolism which has occurred, or embolism, which is very highly likely to occur.
Mechanical complication.
There is a
Or abscess
And then the
formation.
perivalvular abscess.
Abscess.
Dr.
Perivalvular.
Dr.
See, in all
Sudhir
this,
Kumar,
one can think of the risk of surgery should be less than the risk of watchful waiting. That is the general principle for this.
Sudhir Kumar,
So,
Yes, sir.
can I add one more thing?
Please.
Our surgeons, what they feel is, if you wait for 3 weeks, it will give you a good base for them to put stitches. Otherwise, they are all fragile, the valve tissue.
Yeah.
So if it is a decision to be taken on a case-to-case basis,
No
depending
doubt.
upon
Yeah.
the hemodynamics, because if
I
you
was-
wait for 3 weeks,
Correct.
that will give a better chance for the surgeon to give a successful
Fine.
surgery.
But I was for the examination, I was giving some information which is available in the literature, which came last month. There is what is the culture negativity in the vegetation? Is it really influenced by the duration of treatment beyond clinical response? That is all. Not for decision making by the surgeon. Obviously, they would like to wait for some time, 3 to 4 weeks before taking up, unless, as said, Raju sir said, acute hemodynamic decompensation, major mechanical complication like root abscess or acute damage to the valve, and large vegetations, multiple embolization, large vegetation being a lesser strong indication. Okay, sir.
We
Final
just,
question.
Sudhir Kumar, Dr. Sudhir Kumar,
Yes, sir.
we just published a paper on infective endocarditis that is coming out in August issue of echocardiography journal edited by Dr. Naveen Nanda. This was a tubercular infective endocarditis, tuberculoma of the anterior mitral leaflet, sequential multimodality cardiac imaging, pre-treatment and post-treatment, which is published as a challenging case report in echocardiography journal. That will be in the August of this year.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
One final question to the candidate. What is the valve of your choice?
yeah, he must
for
know all the
replacing
valves,
this?
names, some names, and idea should have.
Yeah,
No,
valves
he
for
is
this.
from a center where regular surgery is going on, so there should
Yeah,
not
that's
be. any
why
problem.
I said.
Under those circumstances, the common question that is asked by examiners is, which are the favored valves in your center?
In your center.
Is it there?
And why? And why?
Candidate can answer.
St. Jude bileaflet valve.
Hello.
That is
Hello,
the
sir.
common. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
What about bioprosthetic?
Bioprosthetic, yes, sir. They are using.
So we have to discuss with the surgeon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What
that's
is the
a-
usual bioprosthetic valves used? Which are the usual valves used in your center? Are you using stentless valve for aortic? No.
No, sir. No.
Not to my information.
I don't.
Okay.
Don't say
So other
no.
valves, are you still-
Always remember
using-
now whether there is any possibility of doing a percutaneous valve replacement or valve repair. So with the TAVR and the mitral clips going around, as hot news, somebody would like to know whether this is a patient where we can use any percutaneous intervention. If not, when will you use it?
After getting my D and B, I will answer that. Okay. Okay. That
Okay.
was the final question.
So I want to thank all the panelists.
Sir, one question from the
Audience.
one
I will
question. Sir.
candidate.
Yes, sir, from audience.
And
Sir, how to say dominant in case of combination lesion, sir? How to say dominant AR or dominant MR, sir? Combination lesion of AR and MR.
No.
Which is dominant? What are the
we
clinical
ask
findings?
which is dominant. We don't ask you which is dominant. What you have to do is assess whether it is severe or not.
Yes.
That is
both.
it. Both are severe or not. Whether both has to be tackled, which is contributing to the problem, clinical problem. Aortic regurgitation, you obviously know. It is mainly based on the diastolic blood pressure, white pulse pressure, left ventricular dimension, all those things. So this patient has severe aortic regurgitation. Now the question comes, in presence of severe aortic regurgitation, how to assess the severity of MR? That is a difficult issue because severe MR, LV enlargement, that can occur in severe AR. If you get an MDM, that could be Austin-Flynn murmur. Soft phase sound can occur in both. So the most important thing will be the left atrial size and the left atrial hypertension. If the left atrial, hello?
Hello.
All the other things can be overlapped. The systolic severe aortic regurgitation, to assess severe mitral regurgitation, it is not that easy. The useful thing will be evidence of left atrial expansion, left atrial size, all those things. At bedside, it may be difficult. But in severe AR, as earlier mentioned, you get a very loud pansystolic murmur. It is safer to say that the MR is also severe.
Okay.
Now all the surgical decisions are based on echocardiogram only. It's not on clinical. So
the candidate's
it was
question
not
was
a
on
clinical. It was not a clinical basis for that. That's all.
Is certain in
It's all changing.
the
Nitin
exam.
Kabra. Dr. Nitin Kabra is there?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. I just want you to come. Tomorrow's session starts at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
you are
sir.
one of the examiners.
Okay, sir. Okay. 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'll be
Yeah,
there.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'll be there, sir.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Shall I
For
take
the other people, Satyamurthy Garu. Satyamurthy,
Yes, yes.
9 o'clock.
I may be permitted to leave, sir, because I have to go back to Ernakulam. Tomorrow I have an engagement.
No, sure.
Okay, thank you so much.
K. Abraham also, he wants to go to the church. So he will not be available.
I'll be available after 11.
After
sometime.
11, yeah. After
I'll try
11, you
to
can participate. After
It's
11.
a great day. Seeing you all, hearing you from you people, and learning a lot from all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wish you
Thank
to
you.
be
The last-
in Hyderabad, real time.
Yeah.
I think the last
Okay.
candidate has done well. I mean,
Yeah.
must say, yeah.
It's not an easy case. I think
Oh,
he
so
has done.
Mr. Jabir is here. He is so much thrilled by that statement. Thank you so much.
Right.
So his what is the name of the candidate?
Vijin Joseph.
Vijin Joseph, sir.
Okay.
Huh?
I have been.
Yes, sir.
I've
Yes,
been
sir.
telling you many times. That I've been telling you, he will.
Yes, sir.
Because you got a compliment from
Person like K. Abraham. It's not easy.
They will ask you. Everybody knows that this is a high volume surgical center. Paramount is the commonest valve they are used.
Okay, Krishnaraj Garu. Morning 9 o'clock.
Now sir has started using the
In the
Onyx
first-
valve. Onyx requires a lower
There-
MNR.
Dayasagar Rao.
1.5.
DSR. Hello.
I think he
Oh,
switched off.
Oh, DSR has switched off. I was wondering in the night where are we meeting?
Is it possible?
Raju.
No, I told Krishnaraj that will be bottle.
Our best session is in the night usually.
Yeah, usually.
Champagne bottle.
Usually when Krishnam Raju is in high style.
I'll not disappoint you.
DSR.
You'll get a gift.
Exactly.
You'll get a gift at the end of
We
the
are
thing.
missing that. Oh, don't worry about all that. Okay, next year I think we'll have a.
Yeah,
I
sure.
hope so.
Hopefully we'll have we call
So 6 o'clock is over. Very good.
at
Thank you.
KIMS.
Okay.
Thank you for your participation.
All the
again.
best. Thank
So,
you.
K. Abraham, just join after at least.
ഈ ഫോൺ എടുക്കാമോ അതുകൊണ്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ ഒക്കത്തില്ല അതിനകത്ത് ഒത്തിരി ഇതെടുത്തോ ദിസ് ജസ്റ്റ് ഓവർ താങ്ക് യു
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dayasagar Rao, sir, and thank you, Krishnaraj, sir.
ഓ